impregnate a dwarf if their stone skin eventually covers their hoo-ha and spooter spout. And as always, this lore is coming from the Maiden Manual, so let's jump into it. In my mangas where this lore takes place, dwarves are not your stereotypical 5'3" angry little puffballs. They were originally humans that were infected with a mysterious disease their parents had no clue what to do with, so they threw them all in a cave until one day, Anva, the mother of dwarves, came by, found them, took them in, found them a way to stay alive longer, and they became the mother of dwarves that would later lead on to the expansion of this new species. Because originally, kids would not even make it to the age of 7 before the stone skin originally took over and basically suffocated them to death, or they starved. Because it starts with the surface, and then once it covers head to toe in that stone skin, it starts to go into the muscles, paralyzing you, and eventually starts making it where you can't breathe and you cannot eat. During her journey, she would come across a magical plant, the bakbai. It would allow dwarves to live a much longer life, similar to humans up to the age of around 60, which is when they unfortunately will paralyze, because the thing slows it down, but it doesn't stop the actual disease. But the thing, as dwarves age, the stone skin slowly goes from their legs all the way up into their groins and their little nibbly bit, eventually turning this situation into a kill shot. So if dwarves are good and they take the bakbai all through their life, around 30 is when the bakbai will get to their groins and their anus. But before it takes over those orifices, the doctors will go in and conduct something called a plorkin plug. A plorkin plug is simply they put a device in the urethra and into the hoo-ha and into the bum to allow the stone skin to basically go over it while still letting the orifices be open so they can urinate, defecate, and so when they're not in use, they put a little cap on that little tube. Culturally, with the dwarves, once stone skin takes over your groin, you're pretty much done. You're not having kids. If a female dwarf does get pregnant, it's almost guaranteed to be a C-section. Or if it's too high risk, they'll terminate it. But yes, technically he can still squirt the white tadpoles, so he can still get other people pregnant, but as far as him sticking that stone into the hole of that cave after it's stoned over, that's not really a thing. Because at that point, it's a medical hazard. And it's not going to be pleasurable for anyone because stone skin does not allow them to feel pleasure. So a dwarf would have no real incentive to actually pursue intercourse at that point. So culturally for dwarves, if you're going to get pregnant, you're going to do it between 18 and probably 28, 29. And most dwarves end up becoming parents around the age of about 25, because from 18 to 24 is when they're expected to go out and party. They're expected to enjoy the world, feel the pleasures, because eventually they're not going to be able to have it at all. So for my Puritans out there, but what about the body count of the women? It is pretty common for dwarven women to have body counts in the 30s to 40s. And guys will be around that number, maybe a little bit higher toward the 45 range, because they're actively encouraged to go have sex because eventually you can't do it. So go out, find what you want, find what you like, enjoy it while you can, then settle down, because it's during these periods that you're expected to also date individuals as well, or in an open relationship style, so you can flavor different people to figure out the personalities that work well. Because the thing is, when a dwarf commits, they commit for life effectively, because toward the end of their life cycle, these are the people that are going to make sure that they are taken care of when they can no longer move. So the whole idea of waiting until you find the one to do everything with is very detrimental to them, because if you don't know what you like, you don't know what you should be looking for. If you like this lore, grab a copy of The Devil's Deal and Night of Slaughter as they take place in the same world, and grab a copy while I got some left.